OP here, and we have the proprietor, the owner, the promoter of Lucha Brutal, Rogelio. We had a huge night tonight. I was really impressed. Every single match, I was telling people, there's always a throwaway match. There's always some talent on every show. And tonight, every single match knocked out of the park.
Yeah, man, I try to book on the mentality of like, what do I want to watch, and like, what do I want to see happen, with these, what matchups do I want to see. So that's why you're going to see a lot of first-time matchups at Lucha Brutal, and try to keep it interesting, man.
You have really well. Like I always say, everybody can fantasy book, right? There's a difference between fantasy booking, fantasy matchmaking, and booking. Okay, because booking is the real part of it, and that's money, dates, availability, all that kind of stuff. Who's going to do what. So I think booking-wise, you've got me. And I know a lot of people, and I'll be one of them to say when it first came out and I first heard Lucha Brutal, what the fuck, another one, right? And so that's why I went to the first one. And I wanted to see myself. And not to say I would have buried you, but I would have probably offered some constructive criticism.
I got you.
Some people say I'm always angry about shit like that, but no, it's constructive. Here's my thing. If you ask somebody what to do, if all they can tell you that you suck, you don't need to talk to them. How do I suck and how can I get better? That's what the response should be.
For sure.
So what did you think match of the night tonight?
Oh man, well, one that I knew could have that sneaky approach to people that could jump out of nowhere was Rocket Boy Wilson and Ethan Price.
Boy, yes.
They killed it, and I love Rocket Boy and his style and his attitude and his demeanor, just everything. And I told him, I was like, man, if you were in Texas, I'd book you, all the time, because he's out in SoCal right now. He came up with he actually was training when Thunder Rosa was out there training and stuff. So they brought him in. He was on the first Sabotage show in California, and then when they came to Texas, they brought him in for a show, and that's where I first saw him. And I was like, man, this dude is good. So I when I was working with the previous company, Dallas Championship Wrestling, I brought him in for the show that I booked there in November, and he killed it again. So I was like, man, I was just kind of waiting, but it's hard when they're so far out of state, to be able to bring them in and stuff, and we're a young company, so it's really hard. But it just worked out that he was going to be in Texas. Actually, he told me he was going to be in Texas in July, and I said, man, my next show isn't until August. He said, bro, I'll move my trip. I said, you're booked, man. And so I called up Ethan Price. I was like, look, man, I was like, this guy, he's talented. I was like, I think y'all can do something really good. Because to be honest, it's really hard for me I really digest the matches when I'm edited and put them online, because not only am I the booker, promoter, whatever of Lucha Brutal, I'm like the graphic designer, the video editor, the social media person, like anything, I'm trying to cut costs, so anything I can do, I will do. So so when I'm editing those matches, and I was editing the match from the May 23rd show with Ethan in it, I was like, Ethan has grown so much, I saw him, I want to say the first time I saw him was like Heavy Metal, like 2017 at some point. He was at a show there, and like, you could kind of see some guys got something cooking, but not quite there yet. But he's turned it up, and he has grown a ton. And so when I was editing that match, I was like, man, like Ethan is just, and I see him at Inspire a lot, and he has really good matches there, and I was like, this guy just needs more eyeballs on him, So I thought with Rocket Boy coming in, he's a really talented guy. I thought they could really, have a good match, and they killed it. And I think it's a little bit like the fans not knowing, what exactly to expect. Because even though, some of these people saw Ethan at the first show, he doesn't wrestle up here a ton, so people aren't 100% familiar with him. So they still, not sure with what he's capable of. And then when he just, and not knowing Rocket Boy, and then you put them together, those two unknowns for a lot of people, bam, they just
it worked. It clicked. No, we're
yeah.
really happy with him. You had so much talent, and Fuego was back. ASF is back. Will All Day is debut.
Oh yeah. So he was a last minute addition because something came up with Danny Limelight, another California guy, and he wasn't going to be able to make it. So I was like, I promised people an athletic match, one of the most athletic matches they've ever seen, because Danny Limelight is extremely athletic, and so is ASF. And I was like, I got to find someone who lives up to that billing, And so, like, there were some other guys that I had in mind that probably would have been like more like the David versus Goliath type of thing. But I was like, no, I want to keep it that athletic matchup that I had promised. And so I started looking through everyone around here, and I had just seen Will All Day at Inspire, and And I was like, yeah. I was like, he's the guy. And so here's my little secret. I go to wrestling shows and I watch wrestling, local indies. I don't watch the E. I don't watch a lot of these other shows. I go to indie shows. And so if I'm driving, down to San Antonio, down to Austin, checking out these shows, I'm seeing a lot of people that people up here don't really see. Now I know Will Alday's wrestled. He wrestled for VIP here, and he's done some things like that. But it's I think sometimes when you see people in places where they're already over, you can see like, oh, okay, this is what they can do. Sometimes when you see a person on their debut or just they wrestle here every now and then, you can't clearly see that vision. But when you go somewhere where they're already over, they're already killing it,
you feel it.
It's like, yeah, exactly. And so you're like, that's exactly what I want. So when they come in, you can tell them, look, I want you to do this just like you did, like kill it like you did there. They're charismatic, and you can tell, and you can kind of, they already come in feeling comfortable knowing that their work, and so that helps them as well. And so yeah, like that's,
There's always got to be the question that, like you should say, Will Alday, that inspired. He's huge there too, and he gets the pop, and you feel it. And as a fan, you feel it, and you're like, I know I can make this happen in Dallas. I know I can.
Exactly.
Sometimes it doesn't always transcend. They say Nasty Hole down in San Antonio, he gets all this, heat and all this stuff. And then he comes to Dallas, and no one gave a damn about him. And I understand it. He's probably the only one. But aside from that, I mean, everybody had the reaction, the crowd, and we haven't even talked about them. The crowd makes shows. If that crowd sat on their chair, like they did when Nastico came out, then, and the whole show was that way, then it wouldn't have been as fun.
Well, first,
it pushes the fans.
First, I gotta say, I had many people come up to me and say, thank you for putting Nastico on the poster. It made me want to come and hate him. So,
And they did that. yeah,
But no, the crowd was hot. They just know how to. They're wrestling fans, man,
yes.
and we went out and promoted as much as we could. We were out there trying to work it. Like I said, I'm doing a lot of stuff, so I'm out there, and some wrestlers help me where they could here and there. But I'm out there, trying to push it and stuff. And so to have these people come in ready to see a show, and ready to be involved with their cheers and all that kind of stuff. And what I love about it is no one's trying to put themselves over. No one's trying to, get in the way of the wrestlers. They just want to sit back and watch a good wrestling show, and then when they impress, they want to cheer for them.
Yes.
And when they, when they're jerks, they want to boo them, and that's great. That's what we want from fans. Just be invested in the show, and they do that. And so that's what motivates me to be able to go out and find the talent and to book these matches that I believe they want to see. And the fact of the matter is like after my first show, we had a couple bumps on the road, nothing with the actual show, just behind the scenes stuff as far as like trying to get things paid for and all that kind of stuff. This is a passion project for me and my family. It's an endeavor that we're doing, and so it's a little bit of a struggle. And when things working out the way they did, I was like, to be honest, if it wouldn't have been for the fans' reaction, I don't know if we would have had tonight. So tonight was all about the fans, to be completely transparent. Because if they would have been like, yeah, that was cool, I can go to another show and see that, I would have been like, okay, maybe I don't have a place. But the fact that they let me know, yo, this was awesome, you killed it, the talent was great, then that motivates me to work even harder, to be like, it's worth my time, it's worth, putting all this work in. So yeah, I mean, the reality is, in no cheesy way, it is a business as far as, like things have to be paid for, wrestlers, venues, all that type of thing. So, we're working hard to keep these shows going, and Christie's Banquet Hall has been amazing with us, really helping us, and so they really helped us out, and yeah, we got our next couple dates lined up, and that means that I get to go out and bust my butt to, make the rest of this happen. So I'm excited too, because again, fan feedback is everything to me, and the more that and honestly, wrestler feedback as well. When they say they had a good time, that makes me happy.
Yes.
That makes me want to work hard too.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You got anything else? What's your Twitter handle?
Yeah. So my personal is Lucha Believer, but really I just tweet all my Lucha Brutal stuff. So.
At Lucha Brutal.
Yeah. At Lucha Brutal. If you're typing, it's a little easier that way. But yeah, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's all Lucha Brutal, and just just follow us. We announced our next date, September 26th, Trial by Fire. We got some killer names going to be there, so just look on our social media. When tickets are available, I'll put that post up there, and we're gonna have a great time.
That's awesome, man. I'm really happy to be a
thank
part
you
of that.
so
I've
much.
had a
Thank
great
you.
time.
Thank you.
And for Rogelio with Lucha Brutal, the OP, what I say, if you can't be freaky, get freakadiki. We're out.